My name is Pearson. I'm a garden and landscape designer, and I've come to the Chicago Botanic Garden to talk about two things: my own work as a garden and landscape designer, and a book which I've just published called Spirit, Garden Inspiration. And Spirit is all about the sense of place, and it really is about the grounding behind my work, where ideas come from. My fascination with the idea of sense of place, what makes a place particular, what the mood of that place might be, and trying to encapsulate that in a series of essays which have the sum total, I hope, of a message to take time to look and to feel about places, so that you can try and understand what the most important components of those places are that you can then take back to your own garden setting. I work on lots of different scales as a garden designer, and spirit of place is a very important thing for me. So tapping into the atmosphere of a place, or the best aspects of it, are the first thing that I'll try and do, whether a site's large or small. I then try and make sure that I'm working only with things that feel appropriate to that place. So local materials, plants which suit the conditions. And right plant for the right place is terribly key. Also choosing plants that are happy to live in each other's company. Home Farm is a garden that I worked on in Northamptonshire over the course of 14 years. It's a 4-acre site around an original home farm to a bigger estate. And we developed the site over that period, and it was very good to have taken that time to do it, because it allowed us to look at the garden properly and work out what was going to be appropriate in the space and what would grow there well. And not throwing money at it was key, so it evolved over time. The garden's divided into about 5 different areas: a shade garden near the woodland at the back, vegetables and an orchard, a barn garden which is predominantly hot colours, and this area here at the front of the house, which really links the front of the house out into the landscape. The final piece, of course, being the pond in the lowest part of the field. The pond was very key in the making of this garden, because it allowed us to integrate a lot of wild plants, which in turn attracted the ecology to the site, and gave it a very different energy, because the animals and the plants that arrived there by and through the animals were very much part of the way that we looked at the aesthetic of the planted spaces as well. If you're working with a small space, I think it's really important that you learn how to edit. And editing down the first ideas that you have when you set out on that space is one of the key things. So write a list, and the list will always be too long. Just look at the things which you feel are your absolute favourites, the things that are most key and appropriate to that place, and then halve it. I think the best places really are the ones that where you can apply the mantra less is more. You shouldn't be able to see too much clutter, too much competition in the planting that you're doing. You should be using simple materials, keeping the landscape as simple as possible, so it's like a bone structure over which you can hang more complex planting. Planting should have a variation of texture and form and colour, but do make sure that you predominantly use green, because green is the most restful thing, and a garden, I think, above all, should be a restful place, so that you can be there and feel tranquil and happy and pleased that you've made it.